There is a moment waiting for you on your journey, a sacred, almost imperceptible threshold that, sooner or later, you will cross. It won't arrive with a grand announcement. There will be no fanfare, no cinematic crash of thunder to mark its arrival. No, this moment is far too subtle for that. It slips in quietly, like dawn breaking while the world is still asleep, a gentle unfolding that reshapes the very core of your being. It is not a dramatic, external event, but an internal, soulful click. A click that feels like the turning of an ancient key in a lock you didn't even realize you'd been carrying within your chest. Suddenly, the endless storm inside you calms, and the rage that used to fuel your battles becomes nothing more than a soft, glowing ember. The ache to scream, to thrash, to resist fades into a profound and stilling quiet. You stop explaining, you stop defending, you stop proving. And in that quiet, in that rarefied air of peace, a voice emerges not from outside you, but from the sacred depths of your higher self. A voice that has been waiting patiently for this very moment. It speaks just one simple, yet earth-shattering truth: I am done. But this isn't the brittle, bitter, I'm done, whispered in defeat or shouted in frustration. No, this is a sovereign decree. A clear, unapologetic, deeply embodied decision. It is not born from exhaustion alone, but from clarity. From the sharp, undeniable recognition that the endless battle for acknowledgement, for understanding, for reciprocity, for validation is a battle not worthy of your precious life force. And if this message stirs even the faintest echo in your soul, if you've ever known, or are just beginning to glimpse this sacred severance, then speak your truth in the comments below. Declare it. I resonate with this, because your resonance is not just a reflection of your experience, it is a beacon for others still lost in the storm. This is what the mystics, the sages, the quietly awakened have long called true detachment, but understand, this is not the cold, hollow apathy that the world sometimes mistakes for strength. This isn't the brittle mask of "I don't care" worn by those still quietly bleeding beneath their armor. This is not emotional shutdown masquerading as resilience. No, the detachment I speak of is something else entirely. It is a living, breathing grace, a sacred, sovereign, vibrant reclamation of your energy. It is the powerful, non-violent revolution of the soul that says, I will no longer stand on battlefields that were never meant for me. It is when your entire being, body, mind, spirit, energy unites in the silent but resolute decision to stop showing up for the dramas, the performances, the exhausting roles, and the emotional debts that were never yours to pay. It is the conscious withdrawal of your light from places where it has been squandered, dismissed, or exploited. And yet, what's most fascinating about this profound internal shift is that, on the surface, almost nothing appears to change. The world still spins, people still gossip, the small-mindedness, the superficial games, the unconscious patterns of others still swirl around you. The noise of expectation, of societal pressure, still hums in the background. But you are no longer in it. You are still present, but you are no longer tethered. You are still in the play, but you have stepped out of your assigned role. You have become the observer, rooted, clear, untouchable. The world may look the same, but you are not. And in that simple yet radical difference lies your freedom. This detachment begins to manifest itself in the quietest yet most powerful ways. Suddenly, you respond less not because you're playing some manipulative game of withdrawal, not because you want someone to notice your absence, but because you have finally understood the cost of engagement. You realize that arguing with someone who refuses to hear you is like trying to quench your thirst with dust. You no longer have the stamina for conversations that circle endlessly, for dynamics where your soul is perpetually gasping for breath. The arguments, the explanations, the justifications, they all begin to feel not just tiring, but foreign to your being. Why? Because you now see your energy for what it truly is: sacred currency. You start to guard it like a priceless treasure, because that's exactly what it is. And just as profoundly, you stop justifying your boundaries. Once, you may have explained them, defended them, tried to make others understand your no, as though your boundaries were proposals to be debated rather than truths to be honored. But not anymore. Your no becomes a full sentence, complete and whole unto itself. Your boundaries transform from fragile lines drawn in sand to solid walls built from self-respect. There's no longer a need to convince anyone why you are worthy of peace, why your well-being matters, and most beautifully, the exhausting need to be understood evaporates. You stop pleading for people to see you, to validate your feelings, to witness your heart. You finally understand that the only understanding you ever truly needed was your own. In that state of luminous detachment, a revelation dawns. You begin to see, perhaps for the first time, just how much you've been carrying. It is like suddenly realizing that the heavy load on your back wasn't a part of you, but a collection of stones others placed, their stones marked with names like duty, guilt, expectation, and fear. You've been lugging around the unhealed wounds of your lineage, the silent sorrows of your ancestors, the projected insecurities of friends and lovers, the crushing expectations of a society that never really saw the radiance of your true soul. And the weight of it, gods, the weight of it has been shaping your walk, stooping your shoulders, clouding your gaze. But now, in this newfound clarity, you set the backpack down. You look inside and you whisper, "None of this is mine." And in that recognition, you don't feel anger, you feel relief. Sweet, expansive, tearful relief. Because now you know your only sacred duty is to your own soul's unfolding. You don't have to carry the world on your back. You don't have to bleed to prove your love. You don't have to set yourself on fire to warm those who would not lift a finger to stoke their own flame. And from this place of unburdened clarity, your eyes sharpen. You see, without judgment, but with certainty, what is no longer for you, the places, the people, the roles, the mindsets that no longer serve your highest good. You cease chasing, you cease proving, you cease running after anything that does not intuitively recognize your worth. And this, beloved, is the dawn of your sovereignty, a power unlike any you have ever known. It is not the power of control or domination, but the deep, humming power of unshakable self-ownership. When you are entangled in attachment, everything, every person, every word, every silence holds the power to pierce your heart, to tilt your inner equilibrium. A delayed reply feels like a rejection. A short answer feels like a withdrawal of love. A change of tone sends you spiraling into self-doubt, into endless mental gymnastics of, what did I do wrong? Your peace is fragile, a delicate thread perpetually at risk of snapping. But when you detach, when you anchor yourself in the deep knowing of your own enoughness, the strings that others once pulled to manipulate your emotions fall slack. The silence of others? It's no longer a threat, it's simply space. The absence of response? Not a rejection, but a redirection away from those not meant for you. Their actions no longer dictate your worth because your worth was never theirs to define. This is freedom. This is the unassailable peace of one who knows that their energy, their time, their heart are privileges, not entitlements, others can demand at will. And so you rise, not in defiance, not with clenched fists or barbed words, but with a grace so quiet, so self-assured, that the world cannot help but notice. You walk differently now, shoulders relaxed, gaze steady, steps sure. You've reclaimed the most sacred thing of all, yourself. You no longer seek love, you are love. You no longer beg for peace, you are peace. You no longer search for worthiness, you embody it. And the world senses this shift. Some will be drawn to your new frequency, others will drift away not because you push them, but because they no longer recognize the resonance of your being. And that's okay. You have become the sacred home you were always searching for. The destination was never out there, it was always within you. And now that you have arrived, you know nothing outside of you can ever shake the fortress of your soul again. Now, you are the observer, not the absorber. You can witness the chaos of the world without letting it penetrate your energy field. You can watch the dramas unfold without being pulled onto the stage. You are protecting your sacred space instead of constantly trying to prove your worth to gain entry into the spaces of others. You are no longer auditioning for a role in someone else's life. You are the writer, director, and star of your own. And as you settle into this new way of being, you begin to notice a miraculous shift. You're not falling apart every other week anymore. The emotional roller coasters that once defined your existence have come to a gentle stop. You are not living in a constant state of fight or flight, your nervous system perpetually braced for the next blow. You are not questioning your value just because someone else couldn't show up for you, because you have finally understood that their inability to see your worth does not diminish it in any way. You are just steady. Like a deep-rooted ancient tree, you are grounded in your own truth. You are quiet, not because you have nothing to say, but because you no longer feel the need to fill every silence. You are unreachable in the most beautiful way possible, no, because you have built walls, but because you are vibrating at a frequency that is no longer a match for chaos and disrespect. Your peace has become non-negotiable, your energy sacred, and your presence a gift you now choose to give with intention and wisdom. I remember watching this transformation happen to a dear friend, a beautiful soul who was trapped in a painful cycle. There was this man in her life, the classic on-again, off-again story. He was a master of ambiguity, a phantom lover who was always almost there, but never fully present. You know the type. He would offer just enough presence to keep himself firmly planted in the landscape of her mind, just enough affection to keep the flame of her hope alive, just enough connection to keep her hooked on the potential of what could be, but he was never consistent enough, never brave enough to give her what her soul truly craved: peace. For years, she lived in a state of perpetual analysis. She used to stay up late into the night, her phone clutched in her hand, dissecting every word, every emoji, every silence. Was I too much? She would ask me, her voice trembling. Did I say something to push him away? Should I wait for him to reach out, or will he think I don't care? Maybe he's just going through something. Maybe he's just busy. Maybe I need to be more patient, more understanding. This torturous loop of overthinking, this endless cycle of self-blame and hope, it owned her. It consumed her days, her nights, her weekends. Her precious moments of life were stolen by the echo of a person who couldn't even be bothered to show up for her consistently. That loop was her prison, and the hope for his change was the warden. But then one day, something shifted. It wasn't a dramatic breakup or a final explosive fight. It was a quiet click, a silent surrender. She just stopped caring. Not in a fake, I'm so over it way that she would post about on social media, not in a passive-aggressive silence designed to get his attention. I mean, she truly, deeply, and completely stopped caring about the outcome. The energetic cord that had bound her to him for so long finally dissolved. She stopped checking her phone, not as an act of revenge, but because she genuinely forgot to. Her mind was suddenly filled with other things: a new book she was reading, a new hiking trail she wanted to explore, a new recipe she wanted to try. She stopped watching his stories on social media, not because seeing his life without her was painful, but because it genuinely no longer interested her. His life had become irrelevant to her own expanding universe. She didn't want revenge, she wanted freedom. She didn't want to make him feel her absence, she wanted to fully inhabit her own presence. And the craziest part of this whole cosmic shift? He came back. Of course, he did. They always do. They can feel the energetic shift when you take your power back. They can sense when their supply of your attention and emotional energy has been cut off. They can feel it when you are no longer chasing them, and that absence creates a void that they often feel compelled to fill. But this time, when his name flashed on her screen, she didn't even flinch. There was no jolt of anxiety, no surge of hope, no flutter of the heart. There was only a calm, quiet neutrality. She told me something that I will never forget, words that perfectly encapsulate the essence of this journey. She said, "It's not that I hate him. I don't wish him ill. I have no desire to return to the version of myself I was when I was with him. I've outgrown her, and I love the woman I am now too much to go back." That single sentence, that profound declaration of self-love, it changed the way I saw everything, because that is the true heart of detachment. It is not about shutting down, it is about leveling up. It is an evolution of the soul. You do not detach because you have stopped loving. On the contrary, you detach because you have finally, truly, started loving yourself more. You have finally chosen yourself. And when you begin to live from that sacred space of self-honor, everything hits differently. The entire world recalibrates to your new frequency. You are no longer desperately searching for someone to complete you, because you have finally realized that you were never broken to begin with. You are already whole. You are no longer breaking your own heart trying to keep others comfortable with your light. You are no longer dimming your own flame so that others won't feel insecure. You are no longer handing your power over to others in the name of a connection that demands you to be less than who you are. You have seen, with painful clarity, what you used to tolerate in the name of love, and now you can't unsee it. You have felt the profound peace that came when you finally let go of the struggle, and now you can't unfeel it. And this is where the real healing, the deep, transformative healing, truly begins. Here is the secret that no one really tells you about this journey. Once you truly detach, fully, completely, with every cell of your being, life starts to feel unfamiliar in the most glorious way possible. You wake up in the morning and your first thought isn't about who might be mad at you, who you might have disappointed, or who you need to win over. Your first thought is simply about the day ahead, about the light streaming through your window, about the quiet joy of your own existence. You don't immediately check your phone, your heart pounding with the hope that a certain someone has thought about you overnight. You are no longer waiting for a reply that used to have the power to determine the entire mood of your day. You just exist, not in a numb way, but in a clear way. It's as if your brain, once cluttered with the static of anxiety and overthinking, finally has space again. It's like your nervous system, once perpetually fighting ghosts of the past and fears of the future, can finally rest in the present moment. It's like you are no longer chasing closure from people who don't even have closure within themselves. That subtle, constant hum of anxiety that was the soundtrack to your life for so long just fades away. This is the reward for the sacred act of detaching. You get your life back, you get your mind back, you get your peace back. And the most beautiful part of this return to self is that you stop needing so much from the outside world. You stop needing answers to unanswerable questions. You stop needing apologies that will never come. You stop needing people to change in order for you to feel okay. You no longer need the chaos of drama to feel alive. You no longer need someone else's attention to feel valuable. You no longer need things to go your way in order to remain calm, because your peace is no longer built on the shifting sands of external outcomes. It is built on the solid rock of your own inner being. You have finally come home to yourself. You stop trying to make people feel you. You stop over-explaining your energy, your truth, your essence. You stop searching for validation as if it were oxygen. You realize, in the quiet depths of your soul, that nothing real needs to be chased. Nothing healthy requires your exhaustion. Nothing aligned makes you beg. And from that sovereign place, you stop settling. It's not a conscious effort. It happens automatically. You don't ghost people, you simply fade from spaces that no longer feel like home. You don't cut off your emotions, you just stop feeding dead situations with your living energy. You don't punish anyone, you just rise. And they will feel it. They will sense your shift, not because you are loud or dramatic, but because your energy is no longer available to be drained. And you will feel lighter. You will feel cleaner, not because everything in your life suddenly became easy, but because you finally stopped carrying what was never yours to hold. This is the shift. This is the new normal. You walk through life with your head held high and your soul deeply quiet. Not desperate, not cold, just done performing. And that is the fertile ground where your true self, your radiant, authentic self, finally begins to bloom. Not in the noise, not in the begging, not in the fixing, but in the sacred silence you used to be so afraid of. Now, you live in that silence, because that silence is where you found yourself. And the wildest part that no one prepares you for? After you detach, you don't just protect yourself from pain. You start to realize just how much of your old identity was built on pain. You look back at who you used to be, and it almost doesn't make sense anymore. You think about the way you tolerated disrespect and called it love. You remember how you used to rewrite stories in your head just to give people the benefit of the doubt, even when the truth was staring you right in the face. You see all the times you lowered your voice, your needs, your standards, just to feel accepted for a few fleeting moments. And now, you would rather be misunderstood in peace than fully understood in chaos. You would rather be alone with your soul intact than surrounded by people who only want the watered-down, convenient version of you. Because that version of you who begged, waited, over-explained, and over-apologized, that version wasn't weak, but she was tired, so incredibly tired. Exhausted from pretending that self-sacrifice was a badge of honor. Now, you protect your space like it is sacred, because it is. You protect your time, your heart, your attention, not because you are guarded, but because you finally know what you are worth. And the world might not know what to do with this version of you, the one who doesn't flinch when they pull back, the one who doesn't argue when they are misunderstood, the one who is okay with not being invited, followed, or chosen because you have already chosen yourself, fully, quietly, completely. And from that place, you begin to attract differently. Not just people, but experiences, opportunities, moments, and energy that are a true match for the incredible soul you have become. Because now, your life is built on something solid. Not on constant effort, not on emotional tightropes, but on inner stillness. You are just living softly, clearly, without begging the universe to make it easier. And that clarity, that softness, it is your new superpower. You are not trying to be the bigger person when it costs you your sanity. You are not giving anyone a front row seat to your heart unless they have earned it with their own consistency and honor. This is detachment in its purest form. Not pulling away in fear, but standing still in truth. You know better now. And when you know better, you move quieter, you love slower, you trust yourself first. The only validation you need is that steady knowing inside of you, the one that says, we don't do that anymore. Not because we don't feel, but because we finally know who we are. So, here we are. This is your moment, this is your truth, embrace it, you choose you, and from now on, nothing can hurt you the way it used to. I'll see you in the next one.